Good morning, guys. Good morning. So, as the title suggests, taking advantage of the headlines, right? What exactly do we mean by that? Yesterday, when we had a little volatility, we had some news from Russia. Ukraine is obviously the centerpiece for the market right now, where the markets are moving off of, right? Where did these news in a few weeks ago? No, they just recently brought them in with all this volatility, whatever was happening, and now all of a sudden everyone forgot about everything else going on in the world, but now all of a sudden Ukraine and Russia news, right? And so if they're there, well, as traders, it's our job to take advantage of them, right? Sometimes we buy and something long and forget, but when they're news, when we're sitting on a computer, we're day trading, news matter, right? One example for now, before I go over the SPX, let's go over the crude oil chart. I was looking at it. So this is the hourly chart on crude. So let's say if you were awake and when the news came out that the tensions are easing between Ukraine and Russia, that Russia is pulling their troops back, you could have easily shorted oil in that 1 hour and look at the dip it gave. It gave almost a 2-3% dip in the fall in the next 2-3 hours, all the way towards the $92 support, right? So oil is clearly moving off the news right now, and in long term, I think it's going to go higher, in my opinion. But for now, take advantage, right? I mean, here if resistance goes, then we see what happens. And if we get news again that the troops are going back, and then they're going to do something, you want to be watch where the supports are on these charts, and then maybe play long. Not just oil. This is just an example I'm giving you guys, but just overall. All right. And so SPX we have today, we have a nice gap up in the market. Green, I wanted green today, right? I hope we get green tomorrow as well, because that sets up things really nice for us to buy puts. If we get reversal signs on Thursday and whatnot. All right, maybe this entire week we rip. That does not mean I'm going to buy puts. Today I want to buy puts after 2 days. Maybe on Thursday, Friday I will buy calls long. I have no idea, right? So it depends on the market sentiment, what I see, and what I think may happen. But 44.10 was very hard yesterday. As you guys can see, we went over this level up in the pre-market, right? 44.10. And it just fell below 44.10, held the support, came back, and then it just danced around 44.10. Most of the stocks basically stayed near their opening range of prices, kind of trying to put in the base for short term. All right, and today we're going to be opening near 44.50 on SPX, and I think above this, if the market doesn't have any bad news, if there's no negativity in the market, there's a good chance that we might go towards 4,500 and then even test 45.20 today, which is very possible. All right, so 4,500, 45.20 is very possible. Another thing that you want to know, 44.50ish, this level happens to be the 200 MA on SPX or SPY also. All right, 44.50 happens to be the 200-day moving day average. If we manage to stay above it, there's a good chance that we rally today and tomorrow towards 4,500, 45.20, and then the hardest level will be 45.20. That is the volatility trigger. If we hold above 45.20, and then we can probably see all the way towards 4,600 as our first major resistance, where we will get a chance to pick up some puts short, which will also happen to be the 50-day moving average by the time we get there. All right, so understand SPX to the downside. Obviously, if 44.50 is unable to hold, we have 4,400, 44.10 also, and then 43.93, 43.41, all the way towards 4,300. I mean, if they drop some surprise news at 10:30, at 12, or at 1, right, or when Europe closes, right, or maybe at 2 p.m., they can drop any news, and we can obviously shift lower, right? When the news drop, gamma report does not matter at those times. It's the news that are going to move the market, right? But for now, this is what we have from the market, backed by the data. So take this into consideration and make your decisions based off of that. And any news that comes out, if we get more easing news from Russia and Ukraine, market is going to react to the upside for that. All right. So that's one. Qs also, we have 350, 350 and 360 as our most opening with the OI strikes on Qs. So I think Qs will chop between 350 and 360. That's a $10 range, right? That is a $10 range. So watch for this range. You can play the volatility. I think if we test near 348, 349 today on a dip, if we do get the dip, I think it'll be a nice time to pick up some calls for today. Right? Many of you guys scalping, so I'm giving this play right now. If Qs visit 349, 350 area, I think it will revisit 352, 353 again. That's a $2 to $3 move on indices to catch for scalp. All right, so keep an eye on that. Gold also we went over yesterday. It's in a breakout on a longer time frame. For short term, obviously, today's gap down a little bit. For short term, obviously, it may hold maybe with the 170, 173, 176, whatever it may be. Gold, when it moves, it's a surprise and it just starts moving. So this chart, based on the monthly, keep an eye on this chart. This month, as long as we close above 174, I think, or even close to 175, this chart is really bullish. All right, on the monthly. All right, so maybe for the next 2-3 days or next 1-2 weeks, we might even visit 170. I have no idea. But on the monthly basis, on last day of Feb, if we close near 175 or longer, this chart is pointing to more upside. All right, so keep an eye on gold. Oil we went over, right? And then ATVI. Warren Buffett was buying these shares in the fourth quarter. They bought roughly $1 billion worth of shares before Microsoft announced, right? So these big boys obviously don't need to trade like us when they have a lot of money and they make their profits. And ATV, I'm not going over the chart, but just some news. Warren Buffett bought this. He was accumulating here, and that's when I think T was playing ATVI when he was seeing a strong base, right? They were accumulating ATVI around these ranges, and then obviously we had this nice little gap up. And we already have the $85 as a magnet level for ATVI in the long run. All right, Microsoft, since I'm already talking about it, I'm in some puts in March. I bought time. Why do I buy time on my puts? Because I was expecting a hold here, and I was even expecting that we might visit 300, 304 levels. And if that's the case, around 309, 308, I will add on to my puts. I will average down for the next leg lower, which likely will happen in my opinion. All right. So that's the reason I bought time on my puts. But if you did get those puts did go up a lot yesterday itself. Right, we got them at 480, I think, and they went all the way towards 680, somewhere around those along those lines, right? So this is a major support I see, but obviously Microsoft's not going to move on its own. It's the entire tech. If we hold for the next 1-2 days, it's going to hold in these levels, right? And then we'll get all of a sudden breakdown if the breakdown happens and whenever we get that. Okay. DKNG, another chart which I was looking at. I'll just remove all my drawings. If this happens to hold $23, $24, DKNG has earnings on Friday. All right, they have earnings on Friday, I believe, pre-market, if I'm not wrong. I think it's Friday pre-market or Thursday maybe. I think Friday. But if DKNG on earnings, the market holds and it goes above $24, this stock might make a big move. This is actually a good business, a good company, a company I believe in, right? Because I know people that use their products. Any company that I believe in using their products and services, it makes it easier because I believe more in the company, as simple as that. Right, and so DKNG, keep an eye on it. If we do build a base here long term in the next 1 to 3 weeks, this could be a great equity pickup play. All right, and then in one scenario, one can also argue that this is a bear flag, which is absolutely right. Right, one can easily argue that this could be a bear flag in the making. Right, so be careful if you're playing these names. Obviously, this can see $12, $15, just like Space, just like Telray. These companies can go down a lot. But if they build a nice little base here and they show support in the long run, this will be one of my lead candidates, right? If I see a base into March and April, right? These things you should know now. You plan it, and when you see how they work out, then we can execute based on that, right? Like your mindset sets up for it. And then Google, also another stock, a nice little uptrend channel which I drew on the daily. Right, right now we're just here. Google, between 2,700, 2,750, 2,700, 2,750 will be the magnet level for some weeks, in my opinion. So basically, what it means, even if it goes to 2,900, it'll visit 2,750 again. Right? If it goes lower, it'll visit 2,750 again. That's what I personally believe in. And then when comes a split in May, June. Right, I think in April sometime they will start the rally, and then this is just going to go towards 33, 3,400 in my opinion before the split. Right, Google, who does not want Google? I mean, before split. I mean, a lot of guys will want it because once the split is now, that happens, there will be more buying going on. All right, but I'm just going to be very patient with it because I can consolidate here. And when stocks, one thing I'm going to tell you guys here, when stocks are between their 250-day moving average, right here, as you can see. When stocks are between their 50-day and 200 moving day average, there's a lot of consolidation that goes on. All right, it's very hard for them to break above one moving average and the other acts as support. And then they just hold around these levels and they're just absolutely going to chop more. And once these averages get real close to each other, they touch, then they'll part ways again to the other direction, right? So you just know this, a lot of stocks are between these moving directions and they will chop this market, they will make your head spin. They'll drop news, they'll do everything to screw you up with your entries. All right. Or the best way to trade, if you really want to trade, like you want to just play technicals, ignore all the noise because that's going to mess up with your mind, right? If you're not able to execute with the noise. So ignore the noise and then just play the technicals alone. And the charts give it beforehand. For example, XOM. This chart, I'll put a reversal. It kind of gave us a signal. Okay, this is a toppy pattern, and guess what? It's down today. It's down almost $70, $80 in the pre-market. XOM, right? Oil, energy plays, right? And this can obviously see all the way towards 73, $72 for a retest. And then here, once they retest here, once the chart sets up, we'll get more news. Maybe something to do with Russia, Ukraine, something that happens that's going to take the energy sector up, crude oil up, and then XOM might reverse from here. I don't know if that's going to happen. This is an example I'm giving you guys of something that might end up happening, all right, at this support level, or maybe at this support level, all right. So let's see how that's going to go over. American Express, AXP, the entire market is strong today, guys. So there's a gap up in the pre-market. Just know one thing, if you understand gamma, the selling to the other side could also be as easy. This gap up that we have, by 12 o'clock, we can be red. They can set it off right away. Some news can come at when Europe closes or whatever may happen, all right? But right now, AXP, American Express, I think it's just holding between these levels. Here's the top and the bottom range, right? As long as it holds in this range, one can build a bull case or one can build a bear case, right? What do I mean by this? If I go over to XOM on the daily, I'm just gonna show you guys something. We went over this chart. What I mean by that. So AXP, let's say for example, if you bought XOM puts, let's say you bought them here on the 10th February, right? And then the following day, it actually went up, right? That does not mean that the bear case is out. That's just a bounce. I mean, stocks don't always go down or they don't always go up. Sometimes, we get these bumps. And AXP, if you believe in the puts, 195 it might hold, it might be here tomorrow, it might build 193. Maybe it takes 2-3 days to build the bear case and then it falls, right? So sometimes you have to look at it from a bigger picture, and position sizing will be the key for you to hold through your conviction trades, right? If your position sizing is not right, you're likely going to get stopped out or you will want to stop out, and then after 3 days the same position will be up 100%, right? Now I am not saying AXP is going to go down or up. I don't know, I am not in the position. I know some people are playing puts, and I do agree toward the bearish case. And I think if it holds here near 195, 196 into tomorrow also, on Thursday, who knows, maybe I will grab some puts in a few weeks out, right? So that's just something to keep in understand when you're playing your positions, right? So maybe for 1-2 days, it might not act as well. Best Buy was one of T's plays that he called out here on the base. It acted well, but I'm keeping an eye on this play as well, guys. I think it's just holding on to this $100 level. And if I go on the weekly, it's been in a very tight range. If you're somebody that likes playing strangles, and this name can move $10 one way or the other in one of these weeks, all right? So you can maybe go 2-3 months out, buy a strangle play on this and just sit and see what it does for you, right? It's making a strong base here, so just keep an eye on this name as well. It's due for a big move one way or the other, all right? Depending on the market sentiment, I think we'll get that move. CRM, this is the one stock that we people in the group nailed calls to the upside, the ones that took profits, and then we also had strangles on this name and we absolutely murdered it. I'm on the weekly chart. We're at a very strong support on CRM, a very strong support at 205, right above 200. But I do believe that we're gonna visit this 200-day moving day average on CRM, right? If we get an upside move again towards 220, I will probably take strangles again to the downside and to the upside. So I place the CRM to the upside and downside and nailed both, right? So CRM, I do see on the weekly that we visit 190 sometime soon, maybe this week, maybe the week after, I have no idea, right? And then from here we see, does it hold or not, right? Because this selling was really fast from 312 all the way towards 210, right? Which is usually not good, okay? Just keep an eye, and make sure you guys are looking at the monthly charts also, guys, not just the weekly and daily support. The monthly is pointing to 186, and CRM has always bounced off the 50 MA on the monthly, right? So maybe on the monthly, if we get towards 185, which on the weekly, they will break the 200-day moving average by $3-4 for a downside. On the monthly, they will touch it. So 185, 186 will be a bounce play on CRM. Write this down, all right? 186 is a potential bounce play on CRM, right? 4 red months in a row, and then we might even reverse the following month. So keep this in mind, all right? And Along with this, guys, on voice chat we guide you. Not every day is a trading day. Know this, right? Sometimes if we're sitting on our hands, we're not trading. At least we're not losing money. It's better to just sit on your cash. That's a win on its own, right? MSL for the last 1.5 year, ever since we've been in operations, we've been telling you guys, patience always wins. Not trading less, you will make better decisions. You will make the right ones. No need to rush into trades. Sometimes it's just good to sit. Right, these news yesterday, I wanted to play IWM puts and calls, and then I saw what was happening. My mind got messed up. I'm like, you know what? I must stay out. I just sat back. I did not play, right? Because I don't know what news are going to come on the next 5 minutes. It's very hard to predict. And even if you were in the position and you caught the right move, that's luck. Is gambling. As simple as that, right? So yeah, and but apart from that, thank you. Position sizing is the key. Go over the gamma report today. Take it easy. Go slow. Cash never hurts in the account. When the right time comes, we're gonna strike big. But for now, scalping, obviously on live voice chat, we keep doing it. We keep nailing the profits. A lot of great traders, and let's see what happens. God